In a best-of-7 series, that's a much different scenario. And we get kicked off with it here in the first game of the potentially first series. And I'll have to see if Sorcerers can come out the gate swinging. They may be a little bit colder than their big rivals here in Blizzard, because of course they played that series. They've just had to wait for this upper final to start. You better hope they were staying warmed up, because Blizzard were. They 3-0'd Fearless Charlie, and they start out strong here. Cubby, 20 seconds in, gets one off the backboard. Great finish.
What a finish. What a finish indeed. Cubby, who was hyping himself up in Twitch chat during the break, saying he was going to peak, and he's definitely starting out that way. A great start from them, but a great kick-off from Potter as well is going to immediately put them back into offensive position. Deadly Wet Bite trying to find something, but Cubby waiting on the back line. And I really think it's all going to come down to the side of Blizzard and the mistakes that they were making the first time these two teams matched up. If they can quell their mistakes, they may well be in with a run towards being champions. Hoggy hits the crossbar, and the shot from long range is wide open, and we've just said it. I mean, I should be the oracle. When I say things, something happens, and it's exactly what's happened here.
Hoggy and Axlos double committing there, I believe. Getting a little bit too big for their boots, a little bit too hyped up. Cubby claiming things, and he can't put his money where his mouth is at times. And it's led to an equal game once again, seeing more of the same from this from the upper final in the best of 5. It was mightily close in the whole series, you have to say. I mean, in the first game, I think it was Sorcerers took it 4-2, and it's 1-1 now after the first minute. So things may have changed. Blizzard definitely needed to change things, as they did against Fearless Charlie, but this is what we wanted to see from them, to keep that consistency up, keep that pressure up, play the way that we know that they can, and that they know that they can, and be confident with it, have belief in themselves, and that they can bring it to the fore, bring some great play, some great power, and a great demo by Cubby on the back line. Almost allowed him to put that one in. Couldn't quite get there. Sorcerer's defense, once again, that speed is so important for them, especially when they're getting out-bullied, out-physical played.
Great job from them as well. Anyway, I did make an incredible pre-jump read. Doesn't get the best of touches there. I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna take the door out. That was a pinch. It was a 3-man pinch. It was 96 mph along the ground. What do you mean?
That broke 100.
Well, that was ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the Sorcerers side again with a lead here. And a really good job in the start of this game by Blizzard to open up the scoring. But they've just allowed Sorcerers to come straight back in with, almost near minimal effort, you have to say it. Axel's trying to link up with Hoggy, who's playing in the midfield. A bit of a too much power on that pass. He goes to the air. Unfortunately, he gets the bounce on the city, but almost a brilliant read by Axlos. And, we were talking, pretty much in the green room, shall we say, before coming back onto screen, that we really think Axlos, he has to be the player that steps up. He's been quoted as by Hoggy and Cubby as the player who can carry games. We are yet to see it, and if he can wake up, this could well be a different story from the first series.
And it's the blessing and the curse. That much expectation on your shoulders, it can either unlock you, or it can just overshadow you, overpower you at times. If you're not that kind of person, not just that kind of player, you can thrive on it, you can use it as fuel, but it can also burn you alive. And I think for Axlos' sake, he is in the first camp, because he has been such a prolific player for Blizzard throughout this entire season. As I said, 3rd highest scorer, 81 goals, just one behind Void at the 2nd place, and no one could quite keep up with Flo at 100 goals, but got to give them credit where it's due, because they earned it. It's all just about doing it on the day, stepping up to that expectation, not just from others, but of yourself as well. Talked about it in that series in the upper final, where they probably put the most pressure on themselves than anyone ever does. And as a result of that, it can make them play amazing, but it can also put them in situations where they get chances off of, things they wouldn't expect. I mean, Hoggies does well to disrupt here, just sends it to the backboard, but all 3 players out of position for Sorcerers, and it leads to them losing that lead.
It does. A good job, though, from the side of Blizzard. Exactly, they do. And unfortunately, that you can't rely on being gifted goals to win games. However, a sustained amount of pressure coming out from the side of Blizzard is a good job. At the end of the day, how long can this? How efficient is that sort of level of gameplay? Particularly if you're going to have to win 8 games to close out a series, to close out a victory. I mean, is going to go to the sideboard. Does get a nice pinch around the initial challenge coming in from Potter. But Deadly Red White was there to meet it. Again, Hoggy going towards the backboard, tries to find Axlos, who goes towards the backboard again. But the counter-attack already starting to flow. A good cut in the midfield by Cubby. Could set up Hoggy. Couldn't find the read. It was an awkward angle. But the side of Sorcerer's defense once again holding strong. And Potter with a bit of a misread there. Could open things up. But Dino's going to come in once again with the challenge. Trying to find the bump onto Hoggy. Only plays it to his own corner twice. Deadly Red White's going to be there. Plays towards the centre. Looking for a teammate. Can't find it. But Potter's going to put it back towards the net. Forcing a double commit from Hoggy and Cubby. A bit of a whiff coming out from Zino. Could be dangerous as Hoggy's 50-50. Going to drop straight down. But another... No.
Axlos.
For my sanity, thank God Axlos saved that.
That was slightly different than the one we had before, but again it's another pinch and almost a wide open net. Thankfully for them, they didn't get scored on at such a late hour, a late second of this game, but they could eventually get one of their own. Cubby gets a nice little touch there, could have flicked it up and over, but it didn't come to pass, and this is exactly the kind of game we wanted to see from these two juggernauts of the rival tier. First versus second, rivals in all the ways that you can call them in the rival tier itself. This is the grand final we wanted. 2-2 in the first game and overtime. I want overtime in every single game, Hope. It just makes it so much more exciting, so much more amazing! But it's going to be finished in 17 seconds from the man himself. It took 7 shots, Hawks, but Cubby's put away 2 of them. Put away the most important. But that was such an amazing air dribble from Hoggy as well. Just keeping the ball close, keeping it in your possession can make all the world of difference. It throws that defense off. It doesn't matter how quick it is. If they can't read where the ball is going, they're not going to stop it. And they're not going to stop Blizzard taking game 1 of their first series.
That was ridiculous. I mean, what a way to answer back with all the questions flying around. I had full faith in Blizzard, always have. But at the end of the day, it's a great way to answer back here. They've got the first game on the board. They're starting off strong.
Forward and get those kinds of plays, but it did punish them. It did. I mean, it had to be a crazy goal for it to happen, like a 3-man pinch to go all the way up the field, almost 100 miles an hour to send it into the back of the net. That one almost went in, but it does eventually. Potter goes for the slow shot this time, sends it under the defense, and they get the first lead this time around in game 2. And wait, no, I think did they get the first lead in the second?
No,
first
they didn't.
game?
They didn't. It was Blizzard. It was Blizzard.
Cubby, wasn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. It's a very good point, though. This is where the comfort zone of Sorcerers come in. They like to lead in games. Oh, great save from Potter, though. And it is really going to come down to how quickly Blizzard can respond.
They don't lead anymore.
We go. I mean, there we go. They respond so quickly, tie it up. It's just been 19 seconds and we've seen 2 brilliant goals, and it's a really well-constructed one actually coming out from Blizzard this time. They slowly and methodically drew the defense of Sorcerers away from their ideal positions, and then thus subsequently able to capitalize on that finish. But once again, Sorcerers looking to fire back nice and early. Can't make anything work, but Cubby's going to go up. Tries to find the flip set, not able to do so, but leaves it for Axlos, who's going to have a little bit of space here. Decides to leave the ball, but fakes out the aerial and goes for the shot. Tell me what level of IQ that was, because Deadly Red White completely felt in the aerial, and Axlos just turned and sunk it deep.
And not only that, Zino and Potter had utter faith that Deadly Wet White was going to get something on that, anything on that, and the front man was completely bamboozled. You just know that Axlos called his teammates off. He was like, I'm going for this shot myself, lads. This is all a setup play. And he's starting to come alive. 2 goals off of 2 shots. That is the finisher. That is the striker that Blizzard requires to play to the level that they do, that they have throughout the entirety of league play. And if he actually starts showing up, if he starts getting confident, doing those crazy, crazy things that we know him for, living up to the name that he's made for himself, then this could be an unbelievable series, just as unbelievable as that cherry picker might have been from Deadly Wet White, but they do not quite get the equalizer.
Yeah, definitely attempting his best Ahmad impression right there, Deadly Wet Wipe is. Not able to exactly mimic it like the god himself, but could be funny a second there. Saved out by Potter, and a big thing we touched on in beginning game number 1 was the mistakes and errors coming out from Blizzard, but they seem to have stopped that. They seem to be able to polish that up, and subsequently Sorcerers not finding nearly as many openings as they did in that first series they faced up against each other. It's a great clearance coming out from Axlosser. So I know trying to set something up, but again the backboard defense well and truly sitting pretty. Potter there with the 50-50 looking slightly dangerous, forcing Cubby to play into the corner. Cubby's going to go then for the challenge. Design is going to be there to meet it. Hoggy now off the side. Whoa, a great demo coming out from Potter onto Cubby just to open some defensive time for Deadly Wet Wipe to get back to the ball. A bit of a force 50-50. He's going to set it back to Potter's side. He's going to try and take a control. Force a bit of a low shot, but nothing too dangerous, and still the Sorcerers are prying at the door of Blizzard with no success so far.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting lost in the gameplay at this point, Hop. I'm just enjoying watching it. I don't even have time to think about the analysis, the deep dive into what is happening, but it's really good gameplay. I mean, we saw it in the upper final where Blizzard, as you're saying, just making too many mistakes, but in the third and fourth game, they seemed to make fewer and fewer. It seemed like they were coming alive, and that was what they needed, and they've done it again here in the second game of this series. And they need to keep doing that. They need to continue on. Hoggy with a decent looking fate there, but it wasn't quite enough. Deadly Wet Wipe looking for the second follow-up touch. It's just about cooked to the corner by Cubby. A big miss here by Potter does mean they cannot equalize once again, and they're desperately hunting down that second goal. They've still got plenty of time to do it, but every single shot that doesn't go on target is another chance spurned. But as I talk about it, they break down the Blizzard defense, and maybe we stand to see those errors creep up once again. That ball was left alone for a very, very long time in red territory, and it left open space. Look at the saves for Blizzard. Way more than Sorcerers. They've had to spend a lot of time on defense, and just because you're not making those mistakes, it's not enough. There has to be more, especially against the sides such as Sorcerers.
Good job,
Cubby.
Looking for something. Zane does find the width in the air, but Deadly Wet Wipe so consistent so far this playoffs. This can take it away. Pot has to play to the floor, looking for a teammate to find the clearance. He finds the second touch, and Deadly Wet Wipe storming down the field, trying to set something up. Does panic with that touch a little bit. Doesn't take his time where maybe he should have, but regardless, they've been able to keep the presence in the red half. Cubby with the whiff. Oh, there, it's starting to emerge, and we see more of those. You know exactly what Sorcerers will be smelling, and yes, that's correct. It is blood. Okay, does put it forward. Nobody in from the side of Sorcerers there, just momentarily waiting for Zane to get the touch. He does put it right back towards Hoggy. Wins the dunk as well. Axos has to come across the goal to get that touch away, but Hoggy eventually finds the clearance. Axos is storming down the field looking for the touch for Potter. Way too quick to the ball. Hoggy with another miscalculated whiff. And Cubby does the same, forces back into his corner, has to panic touch. Zane's going to be there to meet it. Good dunk from Cubby to take that away from his half. Deadly Wet Wipe is going to catch it in the midfield, reads the touch and pressure coming out from the side of Blizzard nicely as the ball is sent flying down the field. Potter's going to be there, tried to fake it out onto Hoggy. Fortunately for Hoggy, his teammates back in time to mitigate any sort of danger. Zane plays off the back ball over a teammate. Once again, Hoggy's going to get the touch away down the field, and he's got the breakaway. Can he put it in? Yes, he can. Hoggy is there and slots it in with just 18 seconds left.
Oh, Potter just slightly miscalculates his approach to that ball to the mid, and Deadly Wet Wipe, he needed to take more time here. He had to play more passive. He realized he was the last man, but it was just too quick from Axlos, I believe it was. No, it was Hoggy, my mistake, getting that go-ahead goal at such a late time. I mean, name a more iconic duo. Blizzard and late goals in a series. It's happened so many times throughout these playoffs, and it could be a difference. You're going to have to do it afterwards because Deadly Wet Wipe could be taken to his overtime. Never mind. They've managed to do it. They've avoided the OT in this second game, and that is huge. Huge for Blizzard. They won the overtime, and now they don't even need to go to it to beat Sorcerers. They could not win the first two games in any sort of fashion in the upper final. They've just done it, Hop. They've done almost the impossible at this point. They faced each other plenty in league play, but now in an elimination scenario in the playoff runs. in this in these playoffs.
With the few errors they're making on offense, they're almost mitigated, and subsequently they find themselves with a 2-game lead. It's far but over. It is a best of 7, but they've started off exactly how they need to. A bit of a double commit from Zyno and Deadly Wet Wipe. A bit awkward. Deadly Wet Wipe's going to go off first. Gets the touch. Looks like double. I can't find it, but Nork and Potter. Zyno's going to have to come in as the third man. But whiffs happening from the side of Sorcerer when it could have and should have been the first goal on the board.
It's for Blizzard, it's starting to feel like it's almost Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They do so well at, for so long, for like minutes long throughout an entire game, or sometimes even 2 games on the bounce, but then just something flicks, something switches, and they start making such blatant errors under very little pressure sometimes. They're trying to play almost above their level, if that makes sense. Not in the sense that they can't play to that level, but more so they're not used to playing at those speeds and those, the pre-calculation and predicting the ball ahead of time. They seem to not be used to it or not understand what they need to do specifically to make those kinds of plays, and so they get ahead of themselves at times. They go too far ahead of the ball or too far behind it, and they don't calculate their aerials and their movement properly in order to facilitate that kind of gameplay, and they have to rein themselves back in almost at times. So it is for them, just as it always has been, consistency, doing the right thing enough times instead of trying to force things and do stuff that might maybe surprise Sorcerers, might throw them off the scent in a way. But I don't think Sorcerers are falling for it. They've stayed strong throughout both these first 2 games, and just because they've lost them, I don't think says anything. They still have the second life of that bracket reset. Both games have been extremely close, only by 1 goal, and I think they could really turn things up here towards the middle and end of this series. We have not seen the last of them.
Not whatsoever. The elements of polish, the fine margins separating these 2 teams are almost too fine to see.
Oh no.
Oh my no. But now my headset's off. I'm taking my headset off. What?
Okay, well, it looked like a nailed-on chance for Deadly Wet Wipe.
Moment of silence now.
I can't hold it in, Hop. That was just awful for Sorcerers. I mean, Blizzard might be laughing at that. Deadly Wet Wipe has just stopped moving. I don't know if this is because of the fact that he missed such a glaring open chance, or if his connection has dropped.
He's thrown his controller across the room, surely.
I mean, whatever the case, it's a temporary 2v3, or 3v2, you could say, in favor of Blizzard. It's in Blizzard's half. I don't know if they're slowing down a little bit. Oh, Deadly Wet Wipe's moving again, thank goodness. It didn't affect the gameplay or the result whatsoever. I'm not sure what happened there, but he's back in the game, back and ready to play, be a bit more deadly, as he has been all night, all through these playoffs. They definitely need him. He's such a catalyst for this team at times, especially in the air. He's so quick at reading the play, getting up to the ball. They desperately need him for that offense.
100%.
But it's not working quite well right now, as Blizzard, they just seem to be controlling the game better.
So far, he's only been a slightly dangerous moist wipe. Not as deadly as the wet one he wants to be. We'll have to see able to whip it out. A great shot from Cubby. What is that? Sign it with a... I don't even know what save.
I feel like he made that look more difficult than he needed to be, but it was spectacular.
It was ridiculous. No, I mean, right now it's still the leaders in favour of Blizzard throughout all of the pandemonium we've seen. Blizzard, they have this lead and they're holding on to it. The clock is ticking quickly now. Zyno can't formulate anything. Deadly Wet Wipe does go up forward, but Cubby's going to beat there to challenge him. Potter's going to cut that midfield out nicely. It's something I think has been adjusted by the side. Blizzard is stopping the side of Sorcerers in getting control of that midfield. A bit of an orchestrated whiffs again happening at the most pivotal moment, stopping either team from scoring. And 45 seconds on the clock. Blizzard's grin will be widening even further as we speak. But a goal is all that separates this game and overtime. Is it going to go in? I don't know. Sorcerers in the wrong half as Cubby tries to keep it there. He puts it towards the center, nice off the side wall to find a shot. Axel's going to be there, 5-1 towards the blue goal. Zino's going to be there to meet it. So Hoggy controlling that midfield nicely, just giving no opportunities for Sorcerers to get out there. And Harvey also bullies Deadly Wet Wipe momentarily. Deadly Wet Wipe does a really good job of getting out once again. And it's going to come down to this. Can Zino produce a little bit of magic here? No, he can't. He's dead. Cubby goes up with a bit of an aerial. He's just killing time at the end of the day here. And with that, Blizzard are putting themselves onto match point in this first best of 7.
And they just couldn't get their bumpers on the ball at all in that final minute. And I was just thinking as the seconds ticked away, every single second it's spent in the blue side of the field, that error, that mistake, that almost open net chance comes back to haunt them. It haunted Deadly Wet Wipe the most, I'm sure. Zino had a chance as well, but his shot was saved. And they really could have just flipped the script here. They could have turned things around. Super glue.
The super glue came out.
His hand more than that.
Covered in Gorilla Glue right now. But I don't know how strong the glue needs to be to stop Blizzard from shattering. Cubby looking to do exactly that off the kickoff. It is game number 4, match point for Blizzard. To send us to a second best of 7 bracket reset. Also stand not as tall as they did after the upper final, but still remain in a strong position to potentially give us a bit of a run for their money. Still, it is going to be one hell of a hard slog. Axos is there to wait. Potter with a whiff. Axos has got a free goal ahead of him, but the scary prospect of free goal is enough to frighten no matter how hard of a player you are. Deadly Wet Wipe tries to get in around one player. Fortunately, his teammate Potter is then. Potter, he's been a bit quiet, hasn't he, in this grand final? We haven't really spoken much about him.
It's hard to say what, obviously, Blizzard are going to be limiting him quite a bit in this game. They knew what his presence and what his ability did to them in that upper final. Like I said, after the sweep over Fearless Charlie, they must have looked back on that series. They must have tried to figure out what it is that Sorcerers did to beat them in such a fashion. And I would not be surprised whatsoever that they came to the conclusion that Potter was the talisman, was the difference maker. But we've got Potter's name in our mouth. It should be Zino's. Another big miss from Axlos here. Again, under zero pressure. He's just trying to play too quickly. Trying to get the ball out of his half too easily for his point of view. He needs to take a little bit more time. Sorcerers aren't putting that much pressure on them. They're just giving them chances. This one to the backboard. Axlos does get to this ball, but it was free for Potter to try and make his mark there. It's going to be Zino to open the scoring for Sorcerers, and this time, as you said, they seem to enjoy being in the lead. They just need to stay there, because Blizzard, they've shown the ability to bounce back, to bite back, and they've fought tooth and nail at times to do that. But if Deadly Wet Wipe can get shots like that away, I would not be putting my money on Blizzard to take this in a sweep.
Can we stop having such ridiculous saves? I want to see an audacious. You've seen a couple of attempts.
Defense is too good.
The defense has just been too good. Deadly Wet Wipe does find the clearance as the ball remains in the blue half. The cut in the midfield by Potter, almost effective, but not really, as Axel's going to come over the ball once again. Zino with a nice challenge, forcing Hoggy to jump, puts a light shot forward, and Deadly Wet Wipe's going to take that off his Dominus in towards the midfield. Potter's going to look for the challenge, wins that 50-50 over Cubby. Bit of a stalemate play here, but it is once again Hoggy leading the charge for the side of Blizzard to try and open up some space here. 2 players commit forward for Blizzard. Cubby's going to be lost back momentarily, does get the initial touch, and subsequently the danger zone is... Oh my, Cubby! Cubby! Cubby!
Great read here. He knows Deadly Wet Wipe's on the backboard. All he's got to do is get to this ball first. But it's not the easiest of finishes either. That angle was getting tighter and tighter by the second, by the moment. And Hoggy knew he was on the backboard. Well communicated, well finished. And that's the equalizer they needed halfway through this 4th game. Give themselves a chance at that sweep the quickest way they can possibly do it. It puts all the more pressure on Sorcerers as Zino just about keeps this away from Cubby finding his brace for this game. He's had quite a few goals. He's been the shining star for Blizzard. But really, we're looking for some players on Sorcerers to step up. Zino's been having to do a lot of work. 3 saves for him, a goal to his name as well. As you said, Potter, he's been quiet. 60 points to his name almost 3/4 of the way through this game. He really needs to step up, and he could do it here, but the shot is denied by Cubby himself. Bottom right corner, that looked by all rights to be breaking the plane of the net, but they keep it even.
What a shame from Blizzard. Cubby definitely has uninstalled all of the Alanis expansion packs with that sort of shot. Oggy now in the midfield, does cut it forward, puts it off towards the backboards. Axel's already there, and off the corner, and Axel somehow finds the read. Hoggy plays it really hard, and Axel with a major IQ, reading the bounce, and puts the second goal in. Right now, this side of Blizzard, a minute on 23 off of bracket resetting the side of Sorcerers in a flawless fashion.
Oh my goodness. Exelon couldn't even do it. They had to lose a game in the first series. They ended up sweeping the second. So this could be a much different scenario. If they win all 4 games here, the community, the popular vote, was that they were capable of doing it after the reset. We didn't know in what fashion. You were confident it could have been an 8-0, Pops, and you very well may be right. A minute left to go.
If it's an 8-0, all I'm saying is I'm the Oracle. I'm just the Oracle.
Where's that petition? Get the pen out. We need to sign it, because it's probably going to happen as Hoggy finds the second goal to take Blizzard 2 goals up in the 4th game. Oh my goodness, this could be happening up.
What to think anymore? I'm right here. I went for a moment. My sanity left and re-emerged my body because this is absolutely obscene.
First 2-goal lead of the series.
It's the first 2-goal lead of the series, but it doesn't feel like the first with the way that the side is playing. The side of Sorcerers really needing to conjure up some sort of their magic. I don't see anything really transpiring just as of yet. As the side of Blizzard really storming forward with absolutely no relenting to stop. As you said, Potter not being the player he really made himself out to be in that first series. We expect far higher from him. We'll have to see whether a bit of a momentary break between series is going to be able to bring that. But right now, Blizzard, they have bracket reset in the rival grand final in a 4-0 fashion.
What a way to do it. 3 games.
What a way to do it.
Almost an overtime in the second. Didn't need it. They got one in the first. Then in the third, they won by 1 goal, the slightest of margins. And then they do it again, but in a 2-goal fashion. In the 4th game of this first series. At times, it almost seemed like Sorcerers weren't even there. They weren't on the field. They were getting so just... I don't even know what to call it. They lost their ability to play, it almost seemed like. It's what was happening that we thought was happening to Blizzard in the upper final against Sorcerers. And now they just completely flipped it on its head. Completely changed it up. When Blizzard really turned up the heat. Now all that matters, all that's left to be determined, do they have the guts, the guile, the gall to beat Sorcerers once again? And it takes 7 seconds for Cubby to do it once more. Hoggy with the setup, Cubby with the finish. You called him out as the possible MVP for this entire playoff run. He heard you up, he's gunning for it.
It's identical for the first goal they scored in the first best of 7. Ridiculous way to start. This side of Blizzard.
Oh no!
Oh my word! I don't know what to say. I don't want to say GG's yet, but I'm tempted. This side of Blizzard, they've come to play. They've made their statement. They are not. There's no way they're all over now. The side of Sorcerers.
Exactly. Never left the game for.
The side of Sorcerers, their mentality, where is it? It's not something we've really touched upon, in the stream so far, but surely it needs to be coming back as Denny Wetwipe seems to go for a bit of a pogo freestyle. Where is the mentality line for Sorcerers? They've scored! Been scored on 3 times! It's been 32 seconds! This is double-digit territory if we keep on going like this.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, as horrible as it must feel to get swept in a bracket reset in the first series. I mean, we were talking about before I think it was just after the upper final, or maybe just before this grand final itself, that Sorcerers maybe didn't even expect to get here. Many people didn't. None of the caster talent on the RS cast the prediction expected them to get any further than the lower final. No one expected them to be in the upper final. All of the prediction won out that Blizzard would bracket reset after going to the lower bracket. So very few people are on Sorcerer's side right now. Very few people believe. And we were talking about maybe that might unlock them. That might put less pressure on them because they're just like, well, we've got much further than we maybe thought we would. Let's just play fun with it. And maybe now is the point where they're starting to break down a bit and they're realizing, oh goodness, we are in a very tough situation against a very good team. But they have got one back up.
They have, and maybe, just maybe, we have an inkling of life coming out from the side of the Sorcerers. Deadly Wet Wipe with a bit of an awkward touch, just giving Cubby the freest of balls. And he's going for a bit of a read. I can't find it. Zyno does get the demo onto Axos. An open net once again. Zyno having to come across with another save. And the goal line heroic saves, sometimes look amazing, but aren't viable for continuity purposes, shall we say. As Axos does find the clearance, he's going to be heading towards the net, maybe just a bit wide. Deadly White Wipe for the catch, but he gets demoed immediately by Hoggy. And all that 50-50 proving dangerous. Potter caught out in the corner, getting bumped himself. His Hoggy plays towards the back border for Axos, can't find it. His Deadly Wet Wipe. Bit of time here, doesn't have enough boost really to do anything, but lands, almost finds the flick. Cubby's going to be able to mitigate that from bearing any fruit. Subsequently, Hoggy's going to challenge in the air and right back down the other end of the field. But it's a 4-1 lead, and we're just before halfway.
Oh, and Potter just kind of hits this too hard, as Zyno was not well placed enough. Again, this is a similar situation. We've seen it before, where Sorcerers, when they're under that pressure, when they know they have to be pushing forward, getting ever more aggressive, score sooner than maybe they prefer to, than they're comfortable to, they make errors on offense, and it leads to instant offense for the side of Blizzard. Their counter game has been so vicious throughout this series, throughout this entire season, and they get another one there. The Sorcerers, it doesn't feel like they're done necessarily. We're only halfway through the game. It started out extremely hot, and they've continued that way. Now it's 4 goals, and I think that's the greatest deficit we've seen between these two teams throughout their rivalry, all of their series, I believe. So it's rough. It's rough and it's tough for the Sorcerers. I feel like they've got to get this one out of their head. Play it out, of course, and still play to win, but don't think of it as an impossible battle. It's just one game. We've still got a few chances left to make sure they can get back into this series. But really, Blizzard, they show absolutely no signs of slowing down. They look unstoppable, untenable at times to deal with. And as you said, the defense from Sorcerers, it just looked utterly unsustainable. They really may be spectacular, flying across the net, but most of them were from double commits. It takes so much boost, it gives away so much position, and that's allowed Blizzard to operate in those areas, to take this many shots and score this many goals. They've been absolutely prolific.
Prolific is definitely the statement I'd use here. Deadly Wet Wipe caught on the backboard of his own corner. Does take it down to the ground, leaves it for Potter, who, again, really hasn't showed too much promise in this game, at least. Cubby does go up, finds the touch, looking for Hoggy. Hoggy goes towards the net, a little bit wide. Potter was there to take it away. Z goes down the field, does beat Axos with the first touch, can't find the bump onto Cubby, who's been playing lights out Rocket League so far in this series, in this grand final. Potter looking for the catch, really not much boost to work with whatsoever. Just gives it away to the opponent. Just Axos plays towards the backboard. And Axos, again, I mean, we hyped him up, and he was hyped up majorly as being the all-star player for this Blizzard roster. But it actually hasn't been him. It's been Cubby, who's really stepped it up beyond belief. And an interesting stat line. In recent history, the only two, apart from Exelon this season, the only other two best bracket resets we've seen come from Android and Blaze, the two legendary rosters who, I think, Exelon's bracket reset was incredible, and so has been this bracket reset. But Blaze and Android's resets were quite special as well, you have to say, definitely with narrative behind them. But right now, we haven't never seen an 8-0 in the grand finals. And so right now, the tempo at which Blizzard is playing at is definitely putting themselves in a position to do so. And with 5-1 and 15 seconds remaining and a whiff like that from Potter, this game one, it's all but over.
Yeah, that sort of summed it up. Even when they got the clearest chance they could ask for, Potter showing that his mentality is just kind of, I mean, if not broken entirely, it's extremely diminished. Couldn't finish that one off, and Deadly Wet Wipe with a nice looking finish here, only going to be a consolation. Maybe that make that scoreline look a little bit more flattering for them, but it won't be enough. It won't matter. And if they do manage to do this, if they do make it an 8-0, they're writing history. It's being made as we speak, as we see it, and they will put themselves into the annals of the RSC history, the legends of RSC, the Hall of Fame. It would be quite a feat. The first ever to do it would be unbelievable. That would be absolutely insane.
Can I say a petition to get a Hall of Fame channel going in the Discord? Or you have legendary moments. I think that'd be fairly
legendary
popular.
moments.
I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, me and you would be the first edition.
Oh,
you know, first.
Such a statement game for Blizzard. As if 4-0 wasn't a statement in and of itself. Sorcerers' state of mind right now must be down in the dumps, down in the gutters. They could have started out with a response there, a quick one. They couldn't quite find the angle. Deadly Wet Wipe did not do enough. He does here to keep this one out, but Axel is going to be for the finish. Never mind. Hits the side of the net. Can't quite get it in. And they don't open scoring nearly as quickly, nearly as ridiculously as the first game. And this may be a turning point for Sorcerers. I mean, it's crazy to say that. The fact that they haven't got scored on 3 times in the first 30 seconds is a massive, massive improvement for Sorcerers. And it's you've got to say, they must have changed something if Blizzard weren't able to repeat the same thing here.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think, though, something that does come to mind, the amount of times where we thought, oh, this could be Sorcerer's way back in, has been said quite a few times, and Blizzard has proved us wrong every single time. But that goal there with Deadly Wet Wipe coming off the back of a defensive mistake from Blizzard. Poggy just kind of not, as you said, purposeful touches mitigating that. And he jumped yesterday for that, obviously, because he wasn't in my books. I'm sorry.
Backfield.
He jumped yesterday. He left at breakfast on the 29th and landed on the 30th. Obscene. Well, I mean, it's the goal where you need one. And they're finally up in the game, and we said it multiple times. This is exactly where Sorcerers like to be. They like to be in the lead in these matches. It's where they're most comfortable. And we may well see a dividends point and factor here. But 3.5 minutes is a lot of time of Rocket League left to play, especially with a new goal lead. I want to make it a second as Potter finally sinks his teeth into a bit of juicy Blizzard steak.
And they just spend a little bit more time on offense. They rotate through the cycle, get the first man, the second, and the third involved in the play, and they find space, and they utilize it. Potter could have easily sent that flying to one of the corners, or just to the backboard, but he had the clinical nature to finish it off, and that's exactly what they need. 2 goals from 5 shots now. It could end up being a quick one for Axlos. He got the demo on Deadly Wet Wipe as well, doing everything here. Bumped into Potter. Ends up getting the pace and the finish. Managed to recover to get back to this ball. I don't think it would have mattered. It was on target. And the third man was nowhere to be seen. But this is the trouble for Sorcerers. Even when they take a lead, maybe they start to get a little bit too, too aggressive. Of course, we say it a lot, where you take a lead despite the fact that they're comfortable being there. It is not watertight. It is not airtight. It's very easy to penetrate, as you can clearly see. Axlos has done it with no sweat broken whatsoever. 2 goals in quick succession, and already Blizzard look to be waking up once again. Another double commit, and they still can't get it away. The positioning for Sorcerers is just slightly off the mark. If they were even a second earlier to that one, it looks way, way simpler for the clear. A decent kickoff does allow Potter to get a shot away, but the angle's too tight. Kept away by the defender. Deadly Wet Wipe is not able to get it to the midfield either. And it is just Blizzard living up to such expectation that they almost find the go-ahead, but it's stopped by Potter almost on the line. It was an unbelievable looking redirect from Axlos. but it will not be enough. And look, this is looking much more like the first few games in the first series.
Yeah, it really is. This is far closer. And, you know, the way that Blizzard have been playing, is it Sorcerer's time to shine? We haven't seen much of it at all in this grand final, but we could well be seeing it start to blossom now. Zyno forced the 50-50 onto Axlos. Potter is there to keep the attack running momentarily. Cubby goes to the catch, easy for Hoggy for the clearance. A nicer angle for him subsequently, but Deadly Wet White keeping that midfield control very much in favour of the Sorcerer's squad. Zyno does find the chip into the center, but it's mitigated early. Hoggy up. No, he doesn't. He leaves it for Axlos. Smart decision indeed. He had a better shot. Cubby's going to go up to keep this alive. Puts it down, but Deadly Web Wiper able to keep that out as the excitement brims in the caster booth, and I'm sure it's brimming at home as if you're watching this. Potter off the bat ball, puts his shot on, but Cubby takes that away. Deadly Wet Wipe, and again, controlling the midfield like he does so very well. And Hoggy lets the ball drop for Axlos, and eventually the clearance does come in. Both these teams trading blows on offense. A bit of a bouncing shot goes in, and it's saved by no, with a ridiculous save. It is still kept out. The hero plays from both of these teams on defense is ridiculous.
But again, the fact that they're needing to make hero saves, they're not going to be able to get to this one. It's not sustainable. The amount of times they've had to go towards their own net to take it out of the goal makes it that much more difficult for them to recover, to rotate, to get back into position for the next one. Because you know it's coming. You know that Blizzard is going to be there. They rotate so tightly, so precisely when they're going for these attacks, when they're starting to heat up, go through the gears. They're doing it again, and Hoggy's going to finish it again. 2 goals once again in quick succession. This is what I'm talking about. Once one happens, it just happens constantly. The floodgates get flung wide open, and they can score 2, 3, even sometimes 4 on the bounce with no response from Sorcerers. They seem to fall apart, and they just cannot rebuild quickly enough.
I'm yet to see a trickle of sweat come down the Blizzard brow yet, as they really did forcefully knock down the doors of Sorcerers. Now they're up with a 2-goal lead and under a minute left of this game, number 2 of the second best of 7. Let me reiterate, the second best of 7. I'm having to see whether they're able to hold on to here, because they're playing astronomically good at Rocket League at this stage. Still, 40 seconds is plenty of time to score 2 goals, but the side of Sorcerers definitely in the wrong half in doing so. Zyno with the rotation back is going to give Cubby a nice easy clearance. Deadly Wet by trying to control the midfield as best as possible. A good pinch from Axlos is going to force Potter to have to do the work. Oh, a bit of a misplay from Hoggy. Gave Potter the open net, but as everyone says, the open net's the hardest place to score, and he definitely got blinded by the glaring opportunity staring down at him. With 30 seconds and ticking, the side of Blizzard, they're making the miracle run.
Oh, every striker's greatest enemy, a wide open net. You stare long into the abyss, it will stare back into you. And that's exactly what it felt like for Potter. He just played it too quickly. That desperation, as I said, it sets in when you're not in the lead, when Sorcerers especially are in a less comfortable position. I mean, you could easily argue that any team is less comfortable if they're in deficit, if the lead is against them, because it forces them to play the game, and the opponents are always looking to waste time and be annoying, be disruptive, especially. But Blizzard really... there's a Blizzard in there.
Number 3, it is a Blizzard in there, and it's a Blizzard in our hearts. With the way that they are playing right now, they are storming away with this grand final. It is game number 3. If they win this, they go on to a match point after a bracket reset. Definitely something that I think... I can't. Yeah, I can't.
I do that. I just cannot. It's so difficult to picture Sorcerers not getting a game. In the grand final, they got here. They earned it. They swept Fearless Charlie. They won Game 5 in a pretty good fashion against this very same team, and now they can't even get a game. Something huge has changed in Blizzard that's just seriously jolted them. They've been struck by lightning, it feels like, and it's flowing through their veins. They seem unstoppable. Sorcerers are shivering. They've been completely frozen out. And I think it's been a 3-goal lead or a 2-goal lead in both the first 2 games of this second series. They're firing on every single cylinder, and they just I don't know what else to say for Sorcerers. They just need to play a much better game. They need to rise to the level, and they don't seem capable.
They really don't, and I think a big thing right now is the experience coming in from a player such as Potter, who's been playing the RSC for so long. He needs to be taking charge of mentality. He's got to be keeping this team focused, because right now, if they that was scarily poisonous. Fortunately, they found the anti-venom just in the nick of time. Axos does come off the backboard, finding Hoggy. He gets demoed out. A bit of a whiff coming out from Zyno to find the opportunities. Is Axos able to force the 50-50 in the midfield? Deadly Wet Wipe is there. Plays it high, going for the aerial, but Cubby again ever present on the backboard, keeping the danger away. You can see Deadly Wet Wipe falling from the heavens, trying to find the second touch, but Axos is not going to fall for that. As he plays it right back towards the blue half. Hoggy with the shot, it's just a little bit wide for it to drop in. As Cubby goes for the catch, gets a nice touch over towards the backboard, look for a teammate, but Deadly Wet Wipe able to get the read, knocks it on forward. Fortunately for the side of Blizzard, Hoggy very well aware of the danger, was ever present waiting for that touch and knocks it towards the side. We're entering the half-time mark, no goals being scored, a much closer affair.
As we saw in the first 2 games of the first series and in the last one before the end of it, really, it was 2-2 for a fair while, but now 0-0. It's extremely rare to see between 2 teams of this caliber, of this pedigree, of this ability. And as I'm saying it, Potter, the guy that really just has not shown up in this grand final, has been so quiet, almost like a barn mouse or a dormouse.
Or the cockroach on his car.
The cockroach on his car. They're usually pretty loud, to be honest, and that's the kind of thing that he wants to be. Opens the scoring here for his Sorcerer's side, for the Dark Magic. And that's exactly what he was hoping for, what he was dying to get. Could do it again here, but it's taken away by Cubby. Deadly Wet Wipe to follow through the air. His aerial game wasn't brilliant there. He's forced to take it back to his own half. He may be punished for it, but Axlos just pins it to Potter, who throws it back to Cubby, who's then beaten again, trying to get it past Du. He's done this so many times, Cubby. Usually the goal scorer for this side. He's got the ability to dish, to play make as well. Zyno to Potter, blocks the shot himself. I'm not sure if that would have gone on target anyway, but it's led to another quick counter for Blizzard to finish off. Hoggy takes it away from Cubby, and a lot of counter plays going on, but none of them all that effective.
Both having opportunities where they should have landed themselves with a goal, but at the end of the day, it's not going to work out for them. Hoggy gets dunked on by Zyno, and Zyno doing a very good job of opening up the space, and they are still at that 1-goal deficit here. Cubby trying to take it down the field. Potter is already back. Cubby comes back for a second touch as well. A bit of a ball in no man's land. Is the ball going to be dangerous? It's going to be Potter. And finally, Sorcerers are finally coming to life here. And could it be on the brink of, as their life was flashing before them, the defibrillators hit and they're shocked back into life, but still 1:10 on the clock, and we've seen how good at scoring this side of Blizzard have been. You cannot count them out until that final whistle goes, but it's definitely looking far more promising for Sorcerers than it has been for the past, I don't even know, 6 games?
I don't even know. Oh my god, all 3 players on the blue line there. They just about keep it out, but really what's worrying for Sorcerers is that it took a big double commit across the halfway line to allow Sorcerers to have that chance, and they still almost didn't get it. I think it might have been, I think it was Cubby at the back line that couldn't, or maybe it was Hoggy. It was one of the 2 that just couldn't quite get the touch off of the backboard, and it dropped down for Potter to find his brace. But if he was able to get that touch, even though they had such a huge chance as that 3v1 back up the field, then you start to worry about their offensive prospects. They barely had any throughout this series. I think they've scored 4 goals as opposed to like 9 or 10 for Blizzard. But they managed to take the reins in this 3rd game exactly when they needed to prevent that match point situation.
Ruined our hopes and dreams of an 8-0.
They've ruined the dreams. Unfortunately, no 8-0. They cannot make history. Sorcerers have ruined Blizzard's party, but they start to prepare for their own. Start to get the balloons and the party hats out themselves. Start this comeback. Need to do it at least 3 more times, but Blizzard only need to do it 2.
It would be mental if they do it 3-0. 3 more times. And the thing is, it's now the series, but still, it's all up in the air. It's anybody's to take.
Yeah, very much the onus on Blizzard now. I think, despite all the expectations and the beliefs that they were coming into this playoff run with, now I think is the time where things really switched up, where things didn't go the way maybe they expected to or they hoped to. Winning that first best of 7 was monumental, was crucial for them to not have to worry about, you know, that second life essentially for Sorcerers anymore. They got that out of the way and made it just a straight up slugfest. They completely won it out in the first and in the first 2. But now, potentially the winds have changed. The direction of this ship sailed by Potter in that last game. He's the captain of it. He's the GM. And he wants to turn up for his team especially. But I just don't know if because of this momentum break, if Blizzard, if they let that get into their heads, if they let that seep under their skin, it could really affect them. But we'll just have to see. Sorcerers, you know, they've got that opportunity.
The trend really is, the later the goal is scored, the more likely a Sorcerer is going to win in this grand final. And right now, they're keeping it at low. What a fate for Denny. Well, I can place it around one more. If he did one more.
I'll be starting to check his CMV.
Someone's going to have to check me into Arkham Asylum if that went in. I swear to God. Well, what a play from Denny Wetwire, but didn't transpire into anything, but the confidence definitely starting to brim a little bit higher for the side of Sorcerers, and that is good to see if you are a fan of them. Not so excited to see if you're looking for Blizzard to come take this victory. 3 minutes on the clock now, no goals being scored. Definitely a bit more promising for Sorcerers. They've been able to step it up massively here. But Cubby looking dangerous. Are you kidding me? What was that?
Oh my goodness!
Masters, if you're in chat, clip it and ship it now.
Off of that MVP, even if Sorcerers win, he has got to be the MVP of the playoffs. That was nonsense.
That was ridiculous.
Utterly nutty finish.
That is
Where
one of the
did
season.
that come from?
It's
Where
in the
did that
grand
even come
final. A ceiling double tap in the grand final. Goal of the season, surely.
And I think that's what Blizzard needed most. Something to rally them back. A statement goal. An unbelievable finish. Hoggy almost gets one of his own. Looking like a little bit of a cherry picker, but Cubby. Holy
Smokes. I don't really know what to say anymore. The series is
that
it's
was
been
stupendous.
such a rollercoaster of emotion. Was that scintillating?
I think the boat sailed, to be honest. This one could be off the crossbar. Zyno gets it away. He has to make a double save as well. Keeps it out. I mean, if Cubby was willing to go for that, I want to see something else. Bring out the big guns, lad. That's what kind of plays we need for a grand final. Because they showed their pedigree in terms of just amazing ability, and Hoggy's wanted to change the script. He got jealous, Hop. He didn't want us talking about his teammate. He wanted the flip reset, touch over the last defender. Oh my god, this is...
Ship it! I don't know what to say anymore. This is
freestyling now. Oh.
They're absolutely freestyling, and when we've seen the team such as Sorcerers, who's actually been the team kind of connotated and related to that freestyling ethos, this side of Blizzard have just woken up, and right now they're looking to absolutely seal the deal. They want to be your champions, and they are teeing themselves up after a bracket reset in going forward and claiming that title.
Again, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they let the monster out and then they just start scoring for fun, like the defense isn't even on the field. 3 goals in that fashion in this 4th game is unbelievably huge for them. Make it 4. Cubby with the hat trick.
How many trainer packs did they do in that break? That's all I want to know. Because it's absolutely obscene. Cubby, this man. I'm sorry, Potter, you had definitely a good MVP run, but Cubby is completely out.
Turn it on like a tap. They just whoop, when it's on.
You know those
all flowing.
boiling water taps? They've got me installed because I'm completely burnt right now. Unbelievable showing from
Sorcerers. They've got frostburn from the way that Blizzard are playing. It's insane. But I mean, we're talking so much about Blizzard here and the ability to play, but this is Sorcerers, hot and cold again. They're so misfiring.
No, this is not
these
hot and cold.
spells.
This isn't hot and cold. This is Blizzard turning up and saying we are better. End of story. I'm sorry. The side of Sorcerers, they came back and they won that game number 3. And you know they had the momentum in their hands. They were looking strong, but how does Hoggy save that?
I don't know, but his teammate didn't save this one, as Zyno does get one on the board. Makes this look a little bit more flattering. Once again, they are not completely shut out, but 30 seconds really not going to be enough time to get 3 goals. They could barely only just get 1. When Blizzard started to make those mistakes, we've seen them make plenty of them before, but they're past that now. They're a different beast, a different team, and they're not allowing Sorcerers to breathe. Took so many shots, finished so many chances, held their opponents to only 3, and they managed to have 12. And that difference alone tells you everything you need to know. Blizzard absolutely decimating on offense, in the midfield and on defense. I want to say they're deserved champions, but it's not over yet. They have to do it one more time, and Sorcerers could still come back. They've taken one game. They can do it 3 in a row. I don't know. I don't know
if the side of Sorcerers are able to make some sort of miracle comeback in this, then it would just go down in history. But after that performance,
it feels like Blizzard came back angry. They were desperately upset that they lost the game.
They were so mad.
Yeah, I would be. We had it all on a platter in our hands, and you took it away from us, Sorcerers. You're getting punished for it.
And then Cubby does that a ceiling double tapper. Unbelievable.
That was the first goal.
And interesting enough, Potter has asked for a timeout here. They've really they've got this far. Let's have a bit of fun here. And I think that is the way that you can kind of go into it for like the mentality of actually enjoying this and appreciating almost the second place.
Oh, deadly wet wipe! No, that could have been it. That could have been the one. He did everything right, but just could not quite get on the correct side of the ball to finish it off. Post and out. And as you were saying, that's the exact type of mentality that Sorcerers need to bring to this. Don't think of it as your last chance. Don't think of it as all the pressure on the world on you to perform and to make essentially a miracle happen against the Blizzard side such as this. As they do actually get this one through 40 seconds in and they take the lead, but we saw them take the lead in the last game as well. And it didn't quite work out in that sense, but yeah, just let all the weight, all the pressure off from the last games. Nothing matters but the next 5 minutes, and then maybe the next, and then maybe the next. Take every single game as it comes, and just play the best Rocket League that you can. Don't do it as though you're expecting to. Do it because it's just for fun. That's the whole reason anybody started playing this game, and that's the reason. That's, you know, once you're at the end, once you feel like giving up, remember why you started, and that could really unlock them. But Blizzard, snarling teeth, and they look like such a deadly beast, an animal, and they are hungry.
Very, very much so. And I must admit, a little bit of snippet in the chat before this game started. Potter actually just wrote bad luck.
He did it, yeah.
You never know. They may, I don't know, but Potter right now may well be wanting to prove a point here. Sorcerers, though, having to pull out nothing far from a miracle if they really want to.
Stops.
Every single bollard, more than all the bollards in London, I'd have to say. A great save from Zyno, keeping his team alive. They are making it difficult for the side of Blizzard to mount any sort of pressure. It's a great push coming out from Deadly Wet Wipe to try and take it away from the midfield line that Axos is providing. Zyno's going to be there as well. Oh, great save from Cubby to keep that out. approaching the halfway marker. We're still the side of Sorcerers in the lead. Potter does cut it away from Cubby. They may well have identified that he is the danger man firing on all cylinders at this moment in time. Trying to keep him as quiet as possible. It may well be effective. Did it by cutting that midfielder. Cubby having to play it towards his own backboard. Potter is there to meet it if the ball bounces off the upper corner. A bit of a double commit coming out from Hoggy and Cubby. And subsequently, Zano's able to keep this attack alive. Puts it very high into the end. Very little boost to work with. So, a bit of a team bomb, though, from Axos onto Cubby. Could be a dangerous here as the side of Sorcerers starts to mount a bit of a pressure. Hoggy does a good job, takes to his own corner, plays his time here, finds a lovely flick. Deadly Wet Wide, last player back, does get the block. Potter has to come in and kick up the pieces before the follow-up shot from Cubby was available. Now we see once again the pressure from Sorcerers trying to find the opening that Blizzard seems to be not giving them whatsoever.
I think I've noticed something. I'm not entirely sure, but for me it feels like Sorcerers. Whoo! Another great save from Zyno. Sorcerers seem to have spread out a bit more. They're spreading the play. They're not getting in each other's way on top of one another, and it's giving them so much more space to work with. They know when each of them is supposed to go for the ball. They're not double committing nearly as much, and they're giving Blizzard more space to work with, which sounds counterintuitive. But Blizzard are used to playing past individual players. When Sorcerers were going extremely close to them and going for the play much sooner than they necessarily needed to. And that means that Sorcerers have got more room to work with when they make the play. And Blizzard don't quite know what to do with it. They're so used to being ahead of the game and playing really close and tight-knit to their opponent. And I think this is really working out for Sorcerers. They know their assignments, they know when they're supposed to be first, second, and third man, and it's giving them much better opportunities in offense and defense, but especially in the midfield. A huge fake by Potter there. That man had steel, had ice in his veins, because that was such an easy chance for him to finish, but it's come up the other end of the field. 2 goals for Deadly Wet Wipe, and this is what we saw in Game 2. Game 3 even, I think it was. They're doing something different. They've changed and they start to win.
This is scary now. Because Sorcerers are now looking like the team that we saw in that upper final. They're starting to really open up things, and they've scored 2 goals. But talking, Blizzard does fire one back. It was a great set-piece play coming out from Cubby. Back to Axos to Cubby, and back to Axos to slot that away. Great dismantling to some 1-2 passing plays coming out. But 2-1 and 44 seconds left. If Sorcerers take this game, it's going to be huge, but it will make Cubby angry. And I'm rather petrified of that. We'll have to see whether it is doable or not. Hoggy does get a nice read on the clearance. Trying to take it away. Axos is there to cut it out in the midfielder. Potter trying to find the clearance danger straight into Cubby's line of sight. Zyno, though, able to get the ring subsequently. You see Deadly Wet Wipe trying to force something down the opposite end of things. Hoggy, though, trying to force a bit of a flick on early here. And this is where the Sorcerers side must not panic. If they start to panic, Blizzard will be right back into this game. Axel's trying to find the redirect. Cubby is there, and it's 2 apiece, and it's 10 seconds away here from an overtime.
The exact thing that you said they shouldn't do, they started doing. They started going for the ball so much sooner than necessary, and their rotation was off. Both Potter and I think Deadly Wet Wipe were in the midfield line. One of you has to stay back as third man. You have to be ready for that follow-up, because Blizzard has the ability to put that pressure on you, keep you penned in, and it could be a chance here, keeping it alive. It's going to drop down. They're going to do anything possible to take it to an overtime, but this is a coin flip. Blizzard have scored the latest 2 goals, and the momentum is entirely in their favor. Will it be Hoggy to win this 50? It's kind of a neutral. Axos is going to be there, but can't follow it himself. Zyno has to control this through the corner, or he's going to leave it to Cubby. He's going to take an early shot. It will be wide, but it's still just about in the possession of the Sorcerers. Deadly Wet Wipe can't push to this ball. It's a passing field. Axos shot to the crossbar. It's going to go wide again. That could have been it. That could have been the death knell, but they keep it alive, and it could still be a chance for Sorcerers. Wrong side of the field. Oh, this is dangerous. It's going to drop down again. Hoggy with a shot. It's going to be a goal to win the Rival Grand Final. Was not quite in the fashion that they hoped, that they dreamed for. It came so damn close, and Sorcerers fought. They believed, they dreamed that they could get this back, but they could not do it. They are frozen solid, and Blizzard will be your champions.
Blizzard. They. What a performance from them. It was absolutely obscene how they played. They bracket reset.
Everyone in high school doubted me. Woke up to a text, said they're proud of me. Everyone in high school doubted me. Woke up to a track, now they're proud of me. Everyone in high school doubted me. Woke up to a text, say they're proud of me. Woke up to a text, say they're proud of me.